to borrow a metaphor from Lord of the Rings, the message has gotten back to the Shire, and all the hobbits are gathering for an unforgettable battle with the orcs on August 5th for the hearts and minds of their children.
This is the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
You know, back in the late 19th and early 20th century, Andrew Carnegie financed the building of nearly 1,700 public libraries. He did this across 48 states in our union. And he wanted to get books into the hands of the general public, believing that a well-formed public was better than an ignorant one. And I think he was right on the money. I could not agree with him more. I think it's one of his great legacies. As time went on, though, controversies arose. You know, certain books came out, usually ones that questioned the general Christian understanding of the world, or ones whose morals were bad, and the citizens wanted those books banned. And since public libraries are tax-funded, courts ruled that the First Amendment prohibited them from banning the books. So, you know, today, you know, libraries are they're the center of controversy, but over things that were unthinkable 10 years ago. It just amazes me how rapidly things devolve, right? Who would have thought that drag queens would be allowed to read stories to your kids in a public school library? Well, why? Why do you need a drag queen to do that, right? The New York Times reported on two moms in San Diego who decided to check out all the LGBTQ plus books from their local library. They had them on display because they were offensive. They didn't want their kids seeing them. And that idea came to them from Catholic Vote's campaign. And Catholic Vote came out and they had this campaign called Hide the Pride. The Times reported it as, you know, they checked out Pride books in protest. It backfired. But really, Catholic Vote was reporting that the library leaked the mother's library card information to the press. Right? You talk about dirty. And the mothers are looking at suing the library. So this is just dirty, and it gets ugly too. You know, I'm on the fence on moving the books, and I'll tell you why. What if your Christian books are up there? Or what if my Divine Mercy books on display? Somebody doesn't like it, and they do the same thing. I think there's got to be another approach than hiding books. I understand checking them out. You could certainly do that, and that was Catholic Vote's idea. I think it's not a bad idea, but hiding them or doing something to displays is another thing. But, you know, whatever. We're at a point right now where parents are they say, what else can I do? I want to protect my kids. I don't want them to see this garbage. How do you explain these types of things to your first grader, second grader, fourth grader, right? You shouldn't have to. So the San Diego Union Tribune, the New York Times, they printed false information about these mothers. Apparently, they refused to retract it, and one of the mothers has even received death threats since they were published. So the actor Kirk Cameron, he was getting very active on the issue, and he decided he'd start doing story hours at public libraries and reading books that were biblically oriented or just good, you know, wholesome, virtuous ones. Guess what happened to him? Surprise, surprise. He ran into problems. They began to censor what he was doing. As a result of that, now he's got a big campaign out. He's alerting people what's happening and is trying to raise awareness to this. You know, he accused the American Library Association of finding ways to block or sabotage his events. Why? Because you're going to read a wholesome book? What's wrong with a wholesome book, right? What's wrong with a virtuous book? It goes against the ideology of our day, right? I'm delighted to have with me today Kirk Cameron, and I just want to compliment him on just a brilliant idea. Kirk, thanks for joining me today. It's a delight to have you.
Oh, man, thank you for having me on the program and for helping us get the word out about CU at the library. It's really exciting.
Retell what happened to you that motivated you to start this campaign.
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking. And just for the record, I'm pretty much done with whiners and complainers. I want to hang with the winners. Amen. Who believe that if we are advancing the right principles, at the end of the day, we win. And so I wanted to do a public library story time, and I was denied by over 50 woke libraries that previously held drag queen story hours. Yep. So I pushed back, wrote them a letter, and reminded them that they're in violation of the Constitution with their viewpoint discrimination, and that I'd be prepared to assert my constitutional rights in court. They reversed course. I went to a couple of those libraries that said that no one would show up, and we had over 3,000 parents and children, overwhelming 6 floors of a downtown public library, seating capacity. And these are parents saying, thank you for coming to our library. We want to get rid of this woke machine that's destroying the hearts and minds of our kids and get back to the values that lead to their blessing and protection. So we've continued touring across the nation, visiting libraries in New York, D.C., San Francisco, Arizona, Los Angeles, Seattle, and this is all culminating with 250 citizens adopting public libraries across the country on August 5th for See You at the Library, where they're going to host story hours with their favorite books of virtue for their children.
I think it's fantastic. Again, I want to congratulate you, and I want to let our national audience here. We reach about 260 million households, and I just wish everyone who's listening would be part of this. I mean, we live in a culture where things seem so dark, as you point out, the drag queen story hours. How do you make a difference? What do you do? We could push back by being very visible. You have celebrity on your side. I would have thought that the libraries would have been thrilled to have a celebrity come and read to children, and yet they found it objectionable. What is it about the current mindset, both in the country and even in institutions like a public library, that they find a wholesome or virtuous book objectionable?
Yeah. Well, you're right in that the library is supposed to be in receipt of books and opening their doors so that people can come in and participate with learning this kind of information. That sounds right. Well, the reason they're not is the same reason that the borders aren't working correctly. That's supposed to protect all the good things happening within the United States and to protect them from the bad things. The government should be protecting property, not plundering it,
right.
But it's not working the way that it's supposed to. And that's because the ideological termites of socialism and progressivism. And so now all of these institutions and these government tools are being weaponized.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this. I was reading your story. The American Library Association, they actually went so far as to alert their members to encourage them to thwart what you were doing. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the director of the Office of Intellectual Freedom, ironically, at the ALA, went on her national symposium and actually conspired with directors to deny access to families of faith who want to come to their local public libraries and read stories to their kids. This is way out of line. It actually puts libraries in legal jeopardy. And so we've contacted the federal government to launch an investigation against the ALA. But this is only adding fuel to the fire. Families are gathering for battle. To borrow a metaphor from Lord of the Rings, The message has gotten back to the Shire, and all the hobbits are gathering for an unforgettable battle with the orcs on August 5th for the hearts and minds of their children.
Well, that's fantastic. What kind of response have you got?
More and more people are jumping on board, and if people want to join this, just go to bravebooks.com, click on the See You at the Library tab, and as I said, we have over 250 libraries that have already been booked, and they're filling up. Many are worried about exceeding capacity.
Wow.
And we even have libraries in Alaska, on the West Coast, East Coast, all throughout the Midwest. And we want to have more and more people book a story hour on August 5th. And we want to have states making proclamations that August 5th, every year here going forward, is National See You at the Library Day.
I love it. I think it's such a great idea. I'm on Team Cameron. I think this is a great idea. The controversy has sparked a debate about the role of public libraries in a democratic society. Some people believe that libraries should be open to all viewpoints. A mother who didn't want her children to see this LGBTQ plus type of literature that was at a prominent display, and they either checked out all the books or they hid that. They were trying to hide the pride, so to speak. And some people say, well, that's not right. How do we draw that balance? Like I said, some people believe libraries should be open to all viewpoints, regardless of their religious or their political affiliations. Others believe that libraries, they have a responsibility to protect their patrons, especially our kids, from this harmful content. How do you see it?
Yeah, what is for sure is that drag queens are everywhere. They're popping up everywhere throughout public school systems, throughout public library systems. And all I'm saying is that if the rules are it's about diversity, if it's about equity, and it's about inclusion, well, then why are you discriminating against a guy like me and thousands of families that want to read to their kids about faith, hope, and love? I mean, come on. Why all the hate? Why all the exclusion? Include all of us, and then we can have a battle for the best ideas.
Yeah, so do you think this is going to grow? I think the bigger something gets, the bigger it gets. And I think the more people that discover what you're doing are going to be excited about it. I hope other celebrities will join you in this as well and draw more people to the event. If people want to join, of course, it's bravebooks.com. Click on the See You at the Library tab there, and it'll bring you over to that. So what's your vision for this? You just hope this will be an annual day, and how big do you think it's going to get?
I want to be a spark that lights a grass fire in small communities and counties and states that just spreads and spreads with parents, grandparents, librarians, teachers, pastors, politicians, educators all get in and take back their sacred responsibility to train their children instead of outsourcing their parenting and education to government bureaucrats who are turning them into little socialist communists. That's the goal. That's why you see this stuff everywhere. It's in movies. It's in TVs. It's you can't get away from it. It's in the water. And it is. And so what we need to do is say, look, if we're going to be salt and light, if we're going to push back on the rot and the corruption, and we're going to stop whining about the darkness and shine the light, the best place to start is with your kids. And so what I'm hoping is that this grass fire of freedom in the hearts and minds of men spreads 0% contained across every state and to the entire nation.
I love it. I'm with you there. What's your advice to others who are listening right now who've run into this at school or in libraries or people who've been discriminated against because of their religious beliefs? I know you've been really the tip of the spear on this in a lot of different situations.
Yeah. Just think of where we are in history. We're at a unique place where the cultural winds have shifted. Go back 100 years. And those who are proliferating in the public schools and the libraries, like the drag queens and those from the leftist movement, they were the ones who were crying about censorship and discrimination back then. Well, we've allowed things to deteriorate so far that those who love God, love their family, and love America now feel like we're in the minority and we're begging for a seat at the table. And this happened on our watch. So what I'm saying is that there's more of us than there are of them. There's more people who love God, love America, and love your family than there are who hate them. But they're loud and they're hardworking and they don't go to sleep. They keep working at it because they want your children to belong to them. So don't do this alone. Join up with others who are like-minded in your church or in your community. If you don't know any, check out bravebooks.com. Start by joining their Book of the Month Club as an investment into the moral integrity of your kids and a fearless faith. That'll send a new book to your front door every month with a pro-God, pro-America value. Wow. And they're absolutely awesome. Join us on August 5th.
The website one more time?
bravebooks.com.
I love it. Well, keep up the great work, okay? And we'll see you at the library. What are you working on next? I know this is just August 5th will be here, and then it'll be gone. What's your next project?
Well, we're going to continue with this movement. You know, the Republic is at stake. It's on life support right now. And so whether it's another book or a movie, I'm not exactly sure, but I've got a few irons in the fire.
Well, I'm grateful for what you're doing. We need your voice out there, and I really hope the event will be huge. We're going to link over to our Twitter page, and if you're in your car somewhere, stuck in traffic, and you don't have a pen and paper, you'll find it there and be part of the event and share it with others. I love it. Hey, Kirk, thank you. Keep up your good work. You'll be in our prayers.
Thank you, man. God bless you.
God bless you. That's Kirk Cameron.